Blackfeather Woods, a place of dark tales. Locals whispered of its hunger. They said it swallowed people whole. Lost hikers, curious teenagers, never seen again. The forest stood silent, menacing, waiting. The old dirt road leading in was treacherous, pockmarked with potholes, swallowed by weeds. It served as a warning, a last chance to turn back. Few dared to venture beyond its grasp. Those who did rarely returned, and those who did were never the same.
911, what's your emergency?
Help me, I'm lost. Blackfeather Woods, please. I don't know where I am.
Emma sat in the sterile, dimly lit room, the glow of computer screens casting eerie shadows on the walls. Headset on, she listened intently. The hum of other operators filled the air, a constant reminder of the lives hanging in the balance. Another night shift at the 911 call center, where every call could mean the difference between life and death. She checked her watch, 11:53 p.m. The end of her shift was near, but the night was far from over. Almost time to clock out, she thought, her mind already drifting to the comfort of home. Then the phone jangled, breaking the monotony. A chill shot down her spine as she reached for the receiver. This was different. This was real fear. She could feel it through the line, a palpable sense of dread. The voice belonged to a young woman, Claire. Her words were frantic, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps. She was alone, disoriented, lost in the heart of the woods with no sense of direction and no one to turn to. Emma's heart pounded. She had to think fast. Every second counted. She needed to calm Claire down and get her to safety.
Claire, stay calm. Can you tell me what happened?
I was hiking, took a wrong turn. Now it's dark. I can't find my way back.
Claire, I need you to stay on the line. Can you see any landmarks? A stream, a hill, anything?
Trees. Everywhere. It's so dark. I hear things.
Every second counted. Emma's fingers flew across the keyboard, dispatching the closest park ranger unit, praying they would reach her in time.
I see something. 2 lights. Like eyes. Watching me.
Claire, stay focused. The rangers are on their way. Just stay on the line with me.
The rustling leaves sounded like whispers. The shadows from the trees seemed to reach out like claws. Blackfeather Woods was closing in on Claire. Fear tightened its grip. But Claire was fading. Her breaths grew shallow. The rustling grew louder. Then a blood-curdling scream. The phone went dead.
Ranger Mike Reynolds and his partner Sarah raced through the darkness. Their flashlights cut through the dense undergrowth, searching for any sign of Claire.
The radio crackled, replaying Claire's chilling screams.
They followed the GPS signal from Claire's phone. It led them deeper into the woods to a clearing, deserted, except for a single hiking boot lying on the ground. Mike felt a shiver run down his spine. He had heard the stories, the disappearances, the strange occurrences, but he had always dismissed them as folklore. Now he wasn't so sure.
Section 6. Echoes of the Past. The search for Claire continued through the night. The air was thick with tension, and the only sounds were the rustling leaves and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. Volunteer teams combed every inch of Blackfeather Woods. They moved methodically, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, illuminating the dense underbrush and towering trees. But there was no trace of her. The forest seemed to swallow every clue, every hint of her presence, leaving the searchers with nothing but frustration and fear. As dawn broke, a sense of despair settled over the search party. Exhausted and disheartened, they gathered their equipment, their faces etched with worry and fatigue. Emma couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The weight of the unknown pressed heavily on her, and she felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold morning air. She couldn't get Claire's terrified voice out of her head. She started researching, driven by a need to understand what had happened. She spent countless hours poring over old documents and records, digging into the history of Blackfeather Woods. She uncovered stories that had long been forgotten, tales of mystery and fear that seemed to echo her own experience. She discovered a series of unsolved disappearances, dating back decades. Each story was eerily similar, with people vanishing without a trace, leaving behind only questions and heartache. Local legends spoke of an ancient Native American burial ground within the woods. These stories hinted at a sacred place, one that was not to be disturbed. Some believed the woods were haunted. Whispers of ghostly figures and strange occurrences had been passed down through generations, adding to the forest's ominous reputation, cursed by the spirits of those who died there. The legend suggested that the restless spirit sought vengeance, and anyone who entered the woods risked invoking their wrath.
Days turned into weeks. The search for Claire was officially called off, but I refused to give up hope. I spent my free time studying maps of the woods, reading old newspaper articles, determined to find answers. One evening, while reviewing the audio recordings of Claire's call, I noticed something strange. A faint rhythmic humming sound in the background, almost imperceptible. I had dismissed it as static before, but now it seemed different, sinister. I took the recording to a sound engineer.
This isn't natural, it's like the woods themselves are speaking.
Section 8. A Glimmer in the Darkness. Months later, a group of hikers stumbled upon a hidden clearing deep within Blackfeather Woods. They had been exploring the dense, shadowy forest for days, driven by tales of mysterious happenings and ancient secrets. There, carved into the trunk of an ancient oak tree, were strange symbols, unfamiliar, ancient. The symbols seemed to pulse with a life of their own, as if whispering secrets from a time long forgotten. Beneath the symbols lay a small, leather-bound journal. It was partially buried under a thick layer of fallen leaves, almost as if the forest itself had been trying to hide it, its pages filled with faded ink. The writing was barely legible, the words smudged and worn by time, but the stories they told were unmistakably eerie. The journal belonged to a man named Jeremiah Blackwood. His name was scrawled on the inside cover, a name that had become a legend among those who dared to venture into these woods. A hermit who had lived in the woods over a century ago. He was a recluse, shunned by society, but revered by those who believed in the old ways. His entries spoke of the woods as a living entity. He described the forest as a sentient being with thoughts and desires of its own, a place of powerful, unseen forces, forces that could bend reality, twist fate, and consume those who dared to disrespect them. He warned of disturbing the natural order. His words were a dire caution to anyone who might think to exploit the forest's secrets for their own gain, of the consequences of disrespecting the spirits of the forest. Spirits that were ancient and vengeful, guardians of the forest's mysteries. The last entry sent chills down their spines. It was a final, desperate plea written in a shaky hand. The woods have taken her. The words echoed in their minds, a haunting reminder of the forest's insatiable hunger. As they have taken so many before, their hunger is insatiable, their memory long. The hikers knew they had stumbled upon something far greater than they had ever imagined, a glimmer in the darkness that would forever change their lives.
911, what's your emergency?
Help me, I'm lost. Blackfeather Woods, please.
Claire? Claire, is that you?
The voice was faint, distant, but undeniably Claire's. Emma's blood ran cold. The woods had returned what they had taken, but why? The line went dead. Only the echo of Claire's plea remained, a haunting reminder of the darkness that lurked within Blackfeather Woods, a darkness that refused to be ignored.